Thank you very much for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. It is highly likely now that Rafael forms in the Caribbean and heads to Jamaica. So watching this spot in here, still watching this area here north of Puerto Rico near Antigua, Barbuda. I'll monitor that, we'll swing into that, but it's this area here that is going to lift up into Jamaica, and in 2 days, we're going to have tropical storm conditions in Jamaica, then eventually the Cayman Islands and over toward Cuba. So I want to track that, the most likely path for this, and I want to show you what will happen with this area once it works its way into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, I mentioned Rafael. Well, where is Patty? Well, this little spot I was talking about yesterday up in the North Atlantic by the Azores, that tiny spin right there, that became Subtropical Storm Patty. I'll get into the track of that in a moment, but some gustier winds will, of course, move through the Azores with that. So that is where Patty is. So the next name on the list is Rafael, and that's the one we're going to be tracking, and it's going to come out of this. Now, this area here, I'm monitoring this because remember Oscar, none of the models picked up on the development of that. The Canadian model did. So I'll see if that does try to spin up. So I'm watching the Southern Bahamas and Turks and Caicos just to monitor that. But this area here, we're going to see over the next 24 hours more of a spin developing and a lot of rain, and then it is going to surge to the north right toward Jamaica, even on the edge of Haiti, especially on the southern coastline of Haiti, Jamaica, back through Boston Blue. We could get some heavier rain out of this. So what's happening with the models and the most likely path? First, the models, the American model, European, Canadian, and the Icon model all have this developing into a tropical storm. Some a borderline hurricane down the road, but conditions not as conducive for strengthening in the Gulf of Mexico. And I want to highlight that in this video because you may be wondering what's going to happen next. But in the short term, a high concern with that flooding right through Colombia. I was highlighting that yesterday, right? The really heavy rain near Colombia, the flash flooding that's been going on, that's part of this developing system. That's going to lift up toward Jamaica. And as soon as tomorrow night and Monday, it may be a tropical storm at that point. So based on everything I'm seeing with the computer models, but more importantly, what's going on in the environment, I don't just look at the models. This is the outlook. Today, we have that heavier rain near Colombia. Tomorrow, this area should still, the L on the map. That means an area of low pressure, basically a storm system, but not a named storm system yet. So watching this storm system kind of lifting up to the north by tomorrow on our Sunday. And then on Monday, it could be sitting right on top of Jamaica, right on top of us as a tropical storm. Even if it's not a named system at that point, say it doesn't become a tropical storm, it's still going to bring the tropical storm conditions in the really heavy rain. So I want to show you action mode in just a second, but this is going to work right into Jamaica, either as a tropical storm or with at least those tropical storm conditions. And some of that may brush by parts of Haiti, and then lift up to the north and northwest by Tuesday. So that'll put some tropical storm conditions near parts of the Cayman Islands and parts of Cuba, especially eastern and central sections of Cuba on Tuesday. Then after that, by Wednesday, this area should lift more to the northwest. That will bring a tropical storm, or at least tropical storm conditions. Again, the strength on this is going to be very difficult, but at the least, those tropical storm conditions on Wednesday very close to the western end of Cuba at that point. And then this area should move its way into the Gulf of Mexico. After that, this is way down the road. This would be by Thursday. A lot of the models have eventual weakening out of this, or it kind of gets sucked up into a front up toward the northern Gulf. But a lot of the trends down the road by deeper into next week, about 6 days from now, have some weakening in the Gulf of Mexico because those water temperatures are cooler. But of concern, of course, at least tropical storm conditions working their way into Jamaica, parts of the Cayman Islands, and then parts of Cuba, and even brushing by Haiti. So we're now in action mode for tropical storm conditions, and the biggest issue with this will be the flooding. So in Jamaica, across the Cayman Islands, now I'm going to fine tune. Is it going to be more over toward the Little Islands or over toward Grand Cayman? I'll be able to fine tune that the next 2 days. But we want to make the preps Cayman Islands, Jamaica, and Cuba for a tropical storm. The biggest threat out of this will be the rain with it. We're going to see some of the flooding, of course, Some of the rain up to 8 inches of rain or 200 millimeters of rain, could be a little bit more. That means additional mudslides. We've seen a lot of this rain back into Colombia, right? And this is kind of a taste of what's going to be lifting up to the north. Now, a high likelihood it does become Rafael, but even if for some reason it doesn't quite hit that threshold and it doesn't get a name, it's not going to change my forecast. We're going to see up to 8 inches of rain, maybe more, 200 millimeters of rain, in the winds gusting at times to about 50 miles per hour, 80 kilometers an hour. I'm not seeing anything super strong. In the short term, I'm not seeing any hurricane conditions out of this, but I'll monitor because we know how things spin up. And I want to show you the heat content in the water in a moment and why this is going to get stronger. But Jamaica, right on the edge of Haiti. Haiti, we need to monitor the flooding. I'm going to zoom down Haiti and the Dominican Republic for some of the rain totals. But Jamaica, Cuba, Cayman Islands in action mode for tropical storm conditions Monday and even into Tuesday. So thank you for spreading the word. Subscribe or don't subscribe, but please get the word out about this, that we're going to have heavy rain. That's going to be the biggest threat. So when you tell people about a named storm and you pass along this channel, mention that the flooding, the rain, that will be the biggest threat. And you could see it here. Here's Jamaica, and you could see the rain that's going to be moving in. This is mainly by Monday. Look at some of the reds and even some of the yellows. This is that surge of rain. Now, it may be one of those scenarios where maybe the eastern end gets more than the western end, or vice versa, just depending on how this pans out. But you can see the concern here with this very sloppy system that will bring a lot of that rain. The red, that's 8 inches or 200 millimeters. Some of those yellows, we could get up to 250 millimeters of rain or 10 inches of rain. As we know, that is going to lead to some of those dangerous rivers, the mudslide, rock slide potential with this, and just the straight up flooding that we're going to get. So let me show you the American model. Most of the models are in really good agreement. I showed you at the beginning of the video how all of them were showing a tropical storm, and all of them showing somewhat of a similar path. So here's the setup. High pressure and control. It's been keeping everything down to the south. This is the spot we're watching. Here's a front back to the west. So this area wants to go kind of right between that front and that area of high pressure. Now know that in the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, I'm watching that other area just to see if it does spin up. So I'll give you the heads up on that if it does. There's that spot right there. But you can see here by Sunday, here's Jamaica, and I'll do a zoomed in look in just a second. But you see again this feeding in. This here is by Monday. By Monday, this may develop into a tropical storm, and I have that on my most likely path. So we're going to have those tropical storm conditions in Jamaica on Monday, and some of that rain trying to even filter into the Dominican Republic and Haiti. So we'll be continually watching out for that flood threat and the dangerous river crossings right across Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Then this area by Tuesday starts to work its way out to the Cayman Islands. Doesn't look like a large system, so with that, maybe Grand Cayman, maybe the heaviest just stays to the north. We'll wait and see. But generally a sloppy system still bringing in that rain, and then you see it here working right into Cuba and then trying to lift into the Gulf of Mexico by Wednesday. Now at this point, there's going to be some weakening with this, or that's what we're at least seeing. And you can see just going out in time here on Thursday, then it kind of drifts back toward the center would be here, the central Gulf of Mexico. This would be by Thursday. Here's a front to the north. Now a lot of the models at this point, while it's in the Gulf of Mexico, eventually shows some weakening because of the cooler water. And then down the road, here comes another front, just kind of getting sucked into the front and lifting up to the north. Some other models, like the European model, want to bring this a little bit more back to the west. This is down the road. As you know, weather is difficult to forecast 3 days out, let alone 6, 7, 8 days out. So we'll wait and see on this. But the trend here is for weakening in the Gulf of Mexico. The trend in the Caribbean, though, is for that strengthening as this moves toward Cuba, the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, and parts of Haiti. So here's the European model, and you can see on the short term how it is very similar. Here's that heavier rain back through Colombia. Here's Jamaica, Cuba, here's Haiti right here, Cayman Islands right through here. There's the big area of high pressure. That's been keeping everything down to the south. Heaviest rain has been just north of Puerto Rico in the British and Virgin Islands over the last 24 hours, which has been good. Here are these fronts back toward parts of Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. So fronts over here, high pressure over here, these things like the path of least resistance. What it's going to do is kind of thread that needle right up in between, kind of working around that area of high pressure. That's why it's going to lift a little bit more to the north, then eventually over toward the northeast as it gets influenced by these fronts. This here is by tomorrow. By tomorrow, you can see this little circulation right in here. So it shouldn't be a named system yet tomorrow. It should still be kind of that sloppy area. And when I join you, we'll be seeing it trying to organize tomorrow. Then you see it right there, that L on the map, moving right into Jamaica. This here would be by Monday night into Tuesday. Really heavy rain. At this point, I do believe it will be Rafael. It will get a name But as I mentioned, even if it doesn't, the forecast stays the same. Gusty winds and all of that flooding. The green is the rain. The yellow, that's the really heavier rain. Here come those fronts back through Texas. There's another one over toward Oklahoma. This is going to kind of steer its way right over Jamaica, right near the Cayman Islands. You see right here, this here is by Tuesday. So by Tuesday, we could have those tropical storm conditions in the Cayman Islands, in Cuba, and still on the backside, still working in some of the moisture. Here comes one of those fronts right here. High pressure still in control. Winds around the area of high pressure are clockwise. That's why those seas have been higher, just kind of bringing in those easterly swells. So this is just riding right around that. That's how the weather patterns work. It all really hinges on the winds in the areas of high pressure and low pressure. Then as we get into Wednesday, you see here, tropical storm right over eastern, or rather western sections of Cuba, trying to leave the Cayman Islands. So you see how both the American and the European model are very similar, and then this area kind of works its way into the Gulf. At this point, the big question marks: does it get tied up into a front lift to the north? Does it work its way off to the west? The American model was kind of showing this eventually lifting to the north. We have these fronts up here, so it may just kind of get sucked into one of those fronts, kind of fall apart. Or, like the European model shows as we get deeper into next weekend, just kind of drifting its way off to the west, either as a tropical storm or just kind of a big rainmaker over toward the Bay of Campeche. And then eventually, here comes another one of those fronts. It may just fizzle out as it gets into one of the fronts, or the water temperatures here are a little bit warm in the Bay of Campeche, or it may just hang out for a few days. So that's kind of the long-term forecast on that. So here's what's going on. Here's the Gulf of Mexico. Here's the Caribbean. You see these brighter colors here, these deeper reds. Those are the hot pockets. Those are the concerns. That's what's been kind of driving the hurricane season. What is that? Well, that's the area of high heat content. We saw that with Beryl, the second name storm of the season, over toward St. Vincent the Grenadines and Grenada. It rolled over one of those big hot pockets. That's why it strengthened so much. This is not just warm water, but it's warm water well down below the surface. So as these systems roll over it, it kind of churns up the water. Sometimes it churns up the cooler water, and it will help weaken a storm. The storms feed off of the very warm water. Well, in this instance, where these hot pockets are, it just draws up more warm water. So it could really kind of stay fueled, adds some fuel to the fire, and allows it to strengthen. So these are the areas you don't want an area to develop, and unfortunately that's why I do believe this will become a Rafael, because it's going to move right on top of those areas of high heat content. And you see the water temperatures corresponding to that. Near Jamaica, 30 degrees Celsius or 86 degrees Fahrenheit. In the Gulf of Mexico, though, the water temperatures are cooler, right around 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 27 Celsius. And not only that, with these fronts that I was showing you, there's a lot of wind shear right through the Gulf. Those are winds above our heads that can knock off the thunderstorm tops of a named system. So sometimes you could get a system rolling right into the Gulf, and then it just gets sheared apart. It just gets kind of ripped apart. Hopefully that does happen once this area merges into the Gulf. But that's why there's high uncertainty in the Gulf, which is good, because again, the water temperatures are cooler and there's a lot of wind shear. So let's hope it does eventually weaken. But here's that short term. Here's Jamaica. Here's Haiti, Dominican Republic, Cayman Islands right through here, my friends in Belize. Now Costa Rica and Panama. I mentioned Colombia. Costa Rica and Panama. We have also been dealing with some of the heavier rain. That's just this big sloppy area. So keep me posted in the comments. I'll be watching you, of course, as we go throughout the day. By tomorrow, this little spin in here working its way up toward Jamaica, trying to develop. But there is still some of the rain, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia. And then once we get into Monday morning, a lot of us will still be dry in Jamaica, but some of us will start to get the rain. Here's Haiti on the south side again, south of Port-au-Prince. That's where we could see some of the rain starting to work in. But once we get into Monday afternoon, this is Monday by 4 p.m., that's when we could get the tropical storm conditions moving in deeper into the day Monday night into Tuesday. So this may be Rafael at this point working its way into Jamaica. Not seeing anything that's showing it becoming a hurricane at this point for us in Jamaica, but I'll monitor, and then working its way right through. So Tuesday night or rather Monday night into Tuesday, it starts to work its way toward Cuba and the Cayman Islands, but still on the south side, drawing in some of that rain for Jamaica and Haiti. And there's some of the heavier rain that'll move into parts of the Cayman Islands, but it may be a big difference depending on which island you are in the Cayman Islands. So I'll fine tune that over the next couple of days, and then this area will work its way right up through Cuba. So this is Tuesday afternoon, and then kind of work its way deeper into the week back toward the Gulf of Mexico, and we'll see what happens at that point. So the one we're watching should become Rafael. Now Patty is out there, but Patty now in the North Atlantic, that spot for our friends over toward the Azores. You get down the list, there's only 4, well, Rafael's not named yet. There's 5 named names that are still out there for the season, so we are getting way down the list. We have a few weeks left of the hurricane season. It looks like it's going to be a busy finish. It is already very busy. Now I mentioned that area of high pressure, winds around it causing those swells. That's where those seas are higher. Here's meters, here's feet. Look what happens in the Caribbean as this area develops. Those seas are going to build. This is by tomorrow, but especially once we get into Monday, near Jamaica, we're going to monitor some of that coastal flooding, some of the seas showing up here right around 4 to 5 meters. So we're looking at upwards of 13 plus feet in some spots as this area develops and then works its way right over toward the Cayman Islands and in Cuba. This here would be by the time we get into Tuesday. Eastern Pacific side, a few blobs out there. These may develop some. One more interesting one is just south of Mexico. So here we are in Mexico. Here's Hawaii. These have been kind of falling apart as they move in. But this one here, now everything's been kind of flowing this way, right? Has been moving off toward the west. But we're going to watch this little area here, which may actually draw its way back toward the coast. So we've seen a history of that right over the last few years. So you can see here, just going out in time, this here is going through the weekend into next week. Hawaii, we're in pretty good shape. Everything's staying to the south. But you see how this area here doesn't just shoot off to the west. It's still kind of hanging out here. And eventually, as we get deeper into next week, it may work its way a little bit more back to the coast. So I'm going to keep an eye on this system to see if it does build back toward Mexico as we get deeper into the upcoming week. So watching that on the eastern Pacific side. Now here's the Gulf of Mexico. Here's Cuba. Bahamas right here. Here's that big area of high pressure right over Bermuda. That's been keeping all of that rain, all that flooding down in the Caribbean. For the Atlantic region of Canada, just watching out for some of the fronts moving by. There's the Azores, that little system that's going to zip on by. That is Subtropical Storm Patty. Here comes another front as we get deeper into the upcoming week. So here is Patty, which is the new name on the list. This will work its way through the Azores as a tropical storm. So looking at some of those winds that could be pretty gusty at times. Winds right now at about 50 miles per hour, 80 kilometers an hour, and that's generally going to hold. Nothing the Azores can't handle, but the winds are going to be pretty strong as this moves in. This orange shading, those are that's the tropical storm force wind field. That's going to move right through the Azores. Then eventually the system really loses its kind of classification as it moves toward Spain and again back toward Portugal proper as this moves in as we work our way into next week. But watching the Azores, the gusty winds, and of course the rain with it, with Patty that will be moving by. Now I highlighted the rain. Bahamas not as much. We're going to see the Cayman Islands and Cuba, the rain chance going up deeper into the week. I zoomed down to Jamaica earlier. Jamaica, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, that's where that surge of rain is going to be with this new developing system. Very concerned about some of the higher totals, and some of those higher totals may clip us by in Haiti and the Dominican Republic. You still see some of the white shading showing up there, but we're going to see as we get into Tuesday over toward Jacmel, swinging back toward the west. That's where we're going to have a higher chance of rain. Port-au-Prince to the south, that rain is really going to be building in. We'll watch out for that flood threat, dangerous rivers in Haiti. Now, Puerto Rico, back toward British, U.S. Virgin Islands, Anguilla, St. Martin. Heaviest rain's been to the north. Not that we haven't had some overnight, right? Keep me posted in the comments, but the heaviest has been to the north. I'll watch out for any signs of development, but St. Lucia, Barbados, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, the rain chance isn't super high. Dominica south, that rain chance is lower. Suriname, Guyana, Venezuela, maybe we get about 10 millimeters of rain if we get a passing shower, but there's Costa Rica, Panama, again, coming out of Colombia. That's that big surge of moisture. So again, Costa Rica and Panama, we're going to have some spots for 3-day totals, not all of us, but some spots that could be up to 10 inches of rain or 250 millimeters of rain. Scattered areas of rain, Honduras, Nicaragua, Belize, Guatemala, El Salvador, Mexico City to the north, and not as much. So all eyes on Jamaica for Monday, especially late Monday, Monday night into Tuesday for those tropical storm conditions. And then we'll be watching Tuesday across the Cayman Islands for the potential of tropical storm conditions, and I'll be able to fine-tune that and exactly what we can expect over the next couple of days. Flip side, Trinidad and Tobago, we have only a 30% chance of rain, 30 to 40% chance the next 2 days in Barbados, and a 30 to 40% chance right through the weekend for St. Lucia. Rain chance 30% the next couple of days in Grenada, holding at about a 40% chance St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So a lot of us staying dry, could get a little passing shower, 40 to 50% chance in Martinique. Could see a few more just kind of scooting by. Dominica as we go through the weekend, could get a shower here and there as we slide through the weekend into next week. Guadeloupe rain chance holding at about 50%. It is a little higher for us near Antigua, Barbuda with all that action around. The heaviest has been just to the north, but monitoring that, and that goes for St. Kitts, Nevis, and Montserrat. 60% chance of rain today, 50% chance tomorrow and Monday. Watching out for some of the storminess nearby. Anguilla over towards St. Martin, St. Barts, Saba, Statia. You see that elevated chance of rain the next few days. Not a complete washout, but we are going to get some pockets of flooding. So let me know in the comments. Puerto Rico, most of it has been to the north, which is good, but we are right on the edge of it. So monitoring that flood threat, and then that goes for the U.S. and British Virgin Islands. About a 50% chance of some rain today. 30% chance across the Bahamas the next couple of days. Turks and Caicos, we've got one system to the south, one system off to the east. We'll see that rain chance that will be getting higher. Dominican Republic, a 60% chance Sunday and Monday. Monitoring this developing system to the south. And you see in Haiti, especially as we get into a Monday and Tuesday, our rain chance is going to get higher on the south side. That means those very dangerous river crossings. Belize, we're looking at about a 40 to 50% chance. 50% chance in Aruba, Curacao, and Bonaire. There's been some showers around. Rain chance by tomorrow will go down to about 30%. Only a 20% chance for today in Guyana. In the next couple of days, only a 20% chance of rain in Suriname. Cuba, about a 30% chance as a whole. But again, into the upcoming week, in particular by Tuesday, we'll be watching central and then eventually western areas for some tropical storm conditions. We are in action mode in some spots. Costa Rica, Panama, been highlighting us with a heavy areas of rain. Again, 50 to 60% chance in Nicaragua, 50 to 60% chance over the next 3 days in Honduras. Rain chance about 50% the next 2 days. Guatemala and El Salvador. Not a lot the next couple of days in Mexico City. Isolated chance of a shower. 40 to 50% chance in the Yucatan Peninsula. Some of us have been getting some good rain around. Of course, northern Colombia, it has been way too much over the last several days. That's going to continue today and tomorrow. Northern Venezuela, on the flip side, the rain chance not super high, and high pressure has been in control right across Bermuda, keeping that rain chance on the lower side. So we have this developing area in the Caribbean. It is moving toward Jamaica. With that, we are in action mode again for tropical storm conditions. Cuba, Cayman Islands, and Jamaica. So please spread the word about this. Tropical storm conditions are coming. Patty, that is out there in the North Atlantic. So a very active start to November, and there's several areas I'm kind of watching as well, but all eyes on what's going on in the Caribbean. Thank you for being part of this weather community, and have a good rest of your day.